And good afternoon, everybody. Chris Bartell here from the Cascade Pacific Council. Thanks so much for joining us for today's Wednesday webinar. We're going to be talking about youth protection because it is Youth Protection Month. So this is going to be a great webinar. We actually have a series here this month for this topic. So that's going to be fantastic. And then, of course, the end of the month, as we have been doing in the recent months, is our final webinar of the month. We'll focus actually on camping, on summer camp, and we'll tie in a bit of youth protection into that as well. So that'll be great. But first of all, let's dive into just the latest news here around the CPC. So we just have a lot going on. It's really awesome to feel like we're kind of getting back into it and back at it, which is just super, super awesome. So for those of you who have not heard yet, we have said we are all a go for scouting for all units, and we have some great parameters around that, some recommendations, really, really awesome stuff. If you go to cpcbsa.org/COVID, there is a great set of guidelines that for every unit type and size, and just in various ways in which you can meet in person. Some really, really great stuff there. So check that out if you haven't done so already. Also, speaking of just getting back together, we are doing a Cub Scout recruiting webinar, and that's going to be happening here pretty soon, actually on Monday, April 10th, or April 12th, and there's going to be two of them, one at noon and one at 5:30. So lots of great tips and tricks, and it'll be really a great discussion as to what should we be doing now? What are some great ideas? What's working? What's not? And we'll also share some new marketing tools as well. So that'll be fun. So join us for that. You can see that at cpcbsa.org/events, and you can sign up for that there or on our Facebook page as well. And really all of these things you can sign up on our Facebook page and cpcbsa.org/events, or go to our calendar page there too. Also, there are some more cohort camping opportunities at Camp Meriwether and Baldwin, and this is happening through May. And so feel free to check that out as well. Feel free to give us a call. That's probably the best way to do it, or check out our website and see what availability is there. Let's see here. Also, in terms of summer camp, we have 80 days left. Can you believe it? Till we open up, which is going to be so awesome. And for those of you who have older scouts or older kids who are 15 and up, they don't have to be scouts, but they can actually get a job at camp staff. So it's a great opportunity to build lifelong friendships and just learn how to grow and spend time outdoors. Really fantastic. So check it out at cpcbsa.org/campstaff, because there are still some super fun opportunities to do that. Okay, so let's see. Really important, tomorrow night is roundtable. So we've got a council roundtable sort of preview, pre-opening, and then we'll do district breakouts for that. So check your email for those of you who are in the CPC and watching this either now live with us or later on. Check your email for our weekly newsletter, because that's where you actually get the links for that. So that was sent out earlier this week. Also, again, we have the Cub Scout recruiting webinar. Lots of great stuff going on. There's a solve cleanup happening on the 17th of April. And then we have a couple of impact hours / leadership luncheons for those of you in Southwest Washington and the Cascadia district. We also have our 19th annual Sporting Clays shootout at the near the end of May, third week of May. It's going to be super awesome. And then some popcorn training actually kicks off here in May 4th as well. So lastly, our NYLT training is happening in July and August, so you can still sign up for that. Really awesome opportunities for scouts to grow. Alrighty, what we're going to do now is I'm going to now send this over to my cohort here, my cohort team. It's going to be super awesome. We're going to dive into Youth Protection Month, and I'm going to hand this off to Todd McDonald, and he's going to share with us. He's really been working hard just honing in on what are the topics here. So Todd, why don't you take it away and give us a little take on what we're going to be talking about here.
All right, well, thanks a lot, Chris, and those of you that have joined us, and those of you who will be watching this a recorded version. The youth protection is one of those topics that we find is difficult to actually have, but so critical and important in today's youth. I think people of my generation realized it wasn't something that we really talked about much when we were kids, and really should have. And now the idea of protecting our children from this topic is now taking a complete 360 in the we are not protecting them from this topic, we're preparing them and helping them understand. And that's what today is going to be all about in this process. I should say that we're waiting for Dolly Olson, who will be joining us as well. She's our Council Youth Protection Champion, in addition to our Council Program Chair. and board member, and she will. Her computer decided to do a auto update, so who knows when we'll see her. But regardless, this will not be a youth protection training. This is a guide to the resources that are available to you, and at the what I would hope that you will get out of this is at least an understanding of what's available for you as a scouter, as a family member, or even as a scout, to help you prepare and be knowledgeable on how to protect yourself and how to protect our youth. And then also to kind of get a little bit of a nod to the fact that we have a lot of wonderful opportunities for people to communicate, and resources and videos and the like for everybody. And but I'm not so certain that we, I mean, I think we could do a little bit better in making sure that our parents also get to participate in some of these things. So we're going to spend a little bit extra time today on how a parent can work and use the tools of scouting to help protect their own children. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Again, it's our youth protection is all of our primary responsibility, and it requires vigilance training from all of our staff, volunteers, youth members, and parents. And we need to work every day to protect our kids and from the many different things that could happen to them, including abuse. And our youth protection measures include extensive background checks and the like for adult leaders, and a commitment from our parent and guardians for this whole thing to work. And again, key training is available for youth at every stage of the program. All right, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so I think it's important to ask yourself, what role do you have in protecting youth? Because we all have one. Are you part of the National Boy Scouts of America? Because they have a role. Are you part of the Scouting Council or district? Because you have a role. The charting organizations have a role. Our registered scout leaders have a role. Our scouting parents and our scouting youth all have key vital things that they need to do to help make sure that kids are safe. And we're going to talk a little bit through that here. So let's go. I think we're going to show a short video on basics of BSA youth protection.
Scouting is safer than ever before. As our nation's foremost youth program of character development and values-based leadership training, the Boy Scouts of America has an important duty to keep children safe. The BSA has implemented some of the strongest youth safety measures found in any youth-serving organization. But how do we know they're working? To answer this question, a third-party academic review of the BSA's volunteer screening database of individuals barred from BSA programs concluded that policies and screening methods have significantly reduced risk to an all-time low. But one incident of abuse is one too many. That's why safety continues to be the top priority for everyone in the BSA. Over many years, we've implemented barriers that help prevent situations where abuse may occur. These barriers work and are among the strongest safety measures used by any youth-serving organization today. We also use the 3 R's: recognize, respond, and report, to empower everyone in the BSA to help stop behavior or situations that go against BSA policy. First are the barriers to abuse. We run a criminal background check on every volunteer and employee who interacts with children. We recognize that safety measures shouldn't stop there, so we've put in place a multitude of other barriers to help prevent abuse and provide the safest environment possible for our scouts. These other barriers include our 2 Deep leadership policy, which prohibits any one-on-one interaction between an adult and youth member, in person, online, over the phone, or through text. We require all volunteers and employees to take our youth protection training upon registering with the BSA and every 2 years after that, so they can benefit from the latest knowledge. Additionally, our volunteer screening database helps prevent known and suspected predators from registering with the organization. Learning and discussing youth protection is also a required part of the program for youth members. Together, these expert-informed barriers help keep kids safe. In addition to these barriers, everyone in the BSA plays a part in youth safety. Importantly, volunteers and employees know to abide by these policies because predators look for opportunities to groom both adults and youth. That's why we equip our volunteers, employees, scouting parents, and youth members with the knowledge and tools they need to recognize, respond to, and report abuse. We provide multiple resources to empower everyone to do their part in keeping those around them safe. This includes helping volunteers and staff members recognize grooming behavior and signs of abuse through our mandatory youth protection training developed by child safety experts. For parents, scouting handbooks include guides that raise awareness about different forms of abuse and offers insight on how parents can talk to their kids about these sensitive topics. We also partnered with the Barbara Sinatra Children's Center Foundation to help younger kids and teenagers learn how to identify and report inappropriate behavior through age-appropriate animated videos. The BSA encourages the use of Scouts First, a 24/7 helpline to help volunteers, parents, and scouts respond to concerns by reporting behaviors that might put a youth at risk, including violation of policies, inappropriate behavior, or suspected abuse. Remember, everyone in the BSA is a mandatory reporter of child abuse, meaning anyone who suspects abuse must report it immediately to law enforcement, followed by a report to the local council or Scouts First. There are 70 million youth in America that participate in a variety of organizations and activities. This is why we support universal measures to keep kids safe and continue to advocate for the creation of a national database that all youth-serving organizations could contribute to and utilize to screen volunteers. Please join us in our commitment to helping keep our nation's children safe wherever they are, whether they're in scouting, sports, school, or any other organization. For more information on how the BSA helps keep kids safe in scouting today, visit scouting.org/youth safety.
So this is a wonderful overview, and this you'll see this exist on our current page of resources that we'll be sharing here. Let's see, I guess we're trying to get to the next thing. The next slide that will be coming is about our barriers to abuse. So there it is. And I think it's just important just to point out, again, when you go through training or that everybody should know that, you know, that one-on-one interaction between adults and youth is just not allowed. That two adults, registered adults on all scouting activities are also required. That we expect scouts to not be by themselves, that they will participate in scouting in a buddy, and those buddies will not be more than 3 years age difference. Again, that training is available at every level of this program, which we're going to show some tools that you may not be aware of. And again, it's mandatory reporting and getting to Scouts First to let us know when things happen. I often get you mean you don't want us to contact the sheriff's office or the Department of Health and Human Services? And said, no, most definitely we do. We just want to be included in the communications as those happen. So again, a lot of these things are just a layered approach to help ensure that we can keep our kids safe in the scouting program. And the new interesting thing in the last year is the requirement for scouting leaders to utilize a lot of these guidelines in their day-to-day actions, not just while they're with Scouts, which personally I do since somewhere in the early 90s. I go ahead and participate in scouting, and when I go into a restroom, if there's a youth member in there and I have to be one-on-one with them, I wait. I try to make sure that I'm never alone with a child outside of my own family. So, all right, next slide. Welcome back, Dolly. Thank you for coming. It's interesting that we're just getting to the end of the slides that were going to be yours, but again, Dolly Olson is a partner in crime, and as we try to ensure that these resources are available to everyone. So let me just go. So recognize, resist, report. That is an important piece to our training, that there's training at all levels so that we can recognize. But that's just, I mean, the we is a big we. It's does the national organization, does the council, can they recognize it? Does the district be able to recognize it? Does a unit charting organization recognize it? Does the unit leader recognize it? Does the parent recognize it? And does the youth recognize it? And ask yourself this question: how well are your youth prepared to deal with abuse? And we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. And how comfortable are your parents in having these conversations with their children? And so again, rapid reporting. If you don't have access to Scouts First, nice thing is a quick Google. Scouts First is a wonderful Google. If you can't remember 844 Scouts First or Scouts One, is available to you as we go for it. Dolly, do you want to share it all? Make sure you unmute your thoughts as our youth protection section on the existing programs that are available for leaders and everybody in youth protection. Let's see, there we go.
There we go. It sounds like you've covered it all pretty well, Todd. It's no surprise. This is something that's of paramount importance to the council, to districts, to units, and BSA is a very strong advocate of everyone being safe, both youth and leaders alike.
All right, thanks a lot, Dolly. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So the youth protection training that exists has all these information. I forgot about this slide. Dolly, do you want to talk a little bit about the youth protection training that exists for adult leaders?
I could, as a matter of fact. I am struggling with my computer at this second, though.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
Well, let me go ahead. I'll just go ahead and follow.
Yeah,
the
please
slide.
do carry on.
All right, very good. Technology is wonderful. Again, so our youth protection training has been developed by youth protection experts. It is one of the most renowned and used youth protection trainings for adults in the country. Again, it's required for all scouting leaders, and it covers, guidelines that include leadership, camping, sleeping, discipline, recognizing abuse, youth abusing youth, all these different things. And these can be found at my.scouting.org. And it's interesting for you to know as well that you don't have to be registered with the Boy Scouts of America to complete this training. Anybody can do that. Every family member, every community program. I had a Rotary Club that had every member take this training because it was very helpful to them as well. All right, next slide. All right, the meat of one of the resources, and probably little known resources, is how parents or DENs or patrols and troops can get training all the way down to the scout and family level. Now, everybody who joins gets a Scout handbook, hopefully, and inside that Scout handbook is a youth protection parents guide. And that's supposed to help the parent get oriented and also help have a discussion with the Scouts about youth protection. I know that my expectation, even though we had these conversations and all these things with our Scouts, and of course I knew this information, that other tools were more than helpful. And many units have gone to asking their parents all to do the youth protection training, just so that they're familiar. And then we have other resources that we want to share with you now about how we can train youth to better understand how to protect themselves. Before we go to the next slide, I'd like to use the example of hydroplaning for us adults. Hydroplaning is a skill that we're taught, a protocol or process that we're taught when we participate in driver's ed training. And it explains that at some point in your life that you'll be driving down the road and your car will start to lose control and coast on top of water. And they tell you this will happen. It will happen. And when it happens, this is what you do. Take your foot off the accelerator, do not hit the brake, and let yourself coast into it and just maintain control of your car. And then you can listen to that and move on, because there's no way to test that while you're in that training. But then later on, you're driving down the road and all of a sudden it happens. And all of a sudden, somewhere in the back of the mind, it was, oh, I got to lift off my foot. And then when it's all said and done, we feel, instead of being traumatized by the lack of control, we were able to feel comfortable that we knew what to do, and that because somebody told us this would happen. And so youth protection and parent involvement in this, by letting people understand that they need to understand the signs of abuse. And we're talking about even all the way down to that lion cub, that there are things that they should know about their bodies and how to tell what to do when bad things happen. That once they know, the trauma of a grooming behavior against them will be less so, because they'll know what to do. So let's share some of the things that are out there for you and for parents. And I want to start with Cub Scouts. Go ahead, next slide. So, and we're going to talk about the Barbara Sinatra Children's Foundation. They actually came up with 3 sets of videos. One is for kindergarten through 3rd grade. Another one is 4th through 6th. And another one is basically 13 and older, or teen videos. And so we're going to talk a little bit about them today, because they're fantastic ways of being able to have this conversation. And as a parent, think of all the difficult conversations that you have with your children, and how wonderful it is to have a resource that paints it in a way that they can understand, and then you can respond to questions and to help maintain the communication after the fact. And these are beautiful for this. And if you haven't seen these, we're going to show little snippets of each one of these. So let's start with the K through 3 versions. Now, the Boy Scouts, I should say, have gone and worked through the Cub Scout side and developed tools for each of the den levels. So there's a lion sets of videos, there's a tiger sets of videos, and 2nd grade sets of videos, along with den meeting plans and the ability to download the video. So these are full-on den meeting tools that you can have, but also a wonderful way for a parent and child to sit down together and watch these videos and to talk about how this may affect them. So let's go to the first video.
Hello, everyone. I'm Miss Barbara. Today, we're going to talk about abuse. All children deserve to grow up happy and healthy. However, some children will face abuse in their lives. They'll be hurt or touched on private parts of their body by people they trust. We call these unsafe touches, and they are abuse. Unsafe touches are scary and confusing because they can seem playful or gentle. We're going to learn the difference between touches that are okay and touches that are unsafe. For children who experience unsafe touches from a friend or family member, it can be very hard to talk about it.
But we have to talk about it. I'm Sarah, and this is Lenny. We're here to help Miss Barbara show you that you can talk about it.
That's right. If you think someone has hurt you or touched you in a way they shouldn't, you need to tell a grown-up. Telling a grown-up is the first rule in stopping abuse.
But there are other rules too. The protect yourself rules. We use these rules to know unsafe situations when we see them, and to know how to get away if we need to.
We're going to share stories in which these rules are used to stop abuse and make sure it never happens again.
When we talk about a rule, it will pop up on the screen. Like this.
These stories aren't meant to be scary. We want you to know what abuse looks like and give you rules to protect yourself if you ever need to.
Yeah. If you ever find yourself in situations like these in real life, you can remember the rules. Then you'll know what to do and who to tell to stay safe.
All right, thank you, Chris. We can move to the next slide. This information, that particular one was gauged towards the younger scouts. I think that was the Tiger Cub section, though I think they all kind of start similar at the lower age. And so, but once you start getting up to 3rd to 5th grade, or actually 6th grade, because this is actually more of a, I should say the 4th through 6th is the Sinatra kind of section. So you'll notice that even if you look at the pictures here, the 4th and 5th grade and the 6th grade ones are the same. And so let's take a second here and look at the difference of a training segment that a 4th, 5th, or 6th grader may want to have, or should have in their development. So let's go ahead and watch this next video.
Hello, everyone. I'm Miss Barbara. Today, we're going to talk about abuse. You're old enough now to talk openly about the kinds of touches that are unsafe and to make smart choices for your own safety. No one should ever touch you on a private part of your body or ask you to touch their private body parts. These are unsafe touches, and they are abuse. Understanding unsafe touches isn't easy. The truth is that abusers are most often friends or relatives, and abuse from trusted adults is very hard to talk about.
But we've got the power to stop it. I'm Darius, and this is Maya. Kids who've been abused might be scared or too embarrassed to talk about it, but we can't keep it a secret.
It's never your fault if someone touches you inappropriately. If you think you've been abused, you need to tell an adult, like a teacher or another family member.
We're here to share our stories about abuse and help show you that you can talk about it.
We also want you to remember that your body belongs to you. You have the power to say no and get help if someone has hurt or touched you, no matter who it is.
We use the Protect Yourself rules to recognize abuse and prevent it from ever happening again.
When we talk about a rule, it will pop up on screen. If you ever find yourself in situations like these in real life, you can remember these rules to stay safe.
Abuse is an awful thing, but we have the power to stop it. If you have something you don't feel comfortable talking about, then you need to talk about it.
All right. Thanks, Chris. So you kind of see the point of this is not, I mean, if you get a chance to go watch all these, is that you'll find that you'll want to watch them all, because my feeling is that they're all really good. They're really well done, but they're not easy conversations, but they're done in a way that serves it up, that a mentor or a parent who cares about them could have that conversation as to what to do and how to deal with this complicated information. Today's children are not like when I was growing up. They are far more exposed to a lot more things that happen into the world, and so we shouldn't be afraid to prepare them for these things. Now, all the things that you showed up so far exist on the one website that has been prepared for Cub Scouts in specific. Next, and Chris, you may want to kill that youth protection, or that other. You're getting some sound there. You'll want to see how we can. Oh, that might be me. Hold on a second. All right. So the next group of the 13 and older videos are strictly from fightchildabuse.org. And we're working with the Sinatra Foundation to provide something similar to our older scouts. Now, if you remember, there was programs called It Happened to Me, A Time to Tell, and Venturing Youth Protection Training. And though these things are still valid out there, they were pretty much co-ed, or they were single gender, and maybe not, to the point where they may be not as relevant as they are today. But these 13 and older ones would be great ones to use with your troops, with your crews, with your ships, and your older scouting program. So let's give you a little bit about what a teen version of this Barbara Sinatra Foundation videos would look like.
Hi there, I'm Kim. My friends and I have some stories to share. What do you expect from being a teenager?
Going out with friends more.
Making that money.
Getting a real relationship.
Driving Dad's 69 Camaro.
Meeting new friends. Sexual assault.
What?
Sexual manipulation.
Predatory people?
Wait.
Ongoing abuse. Buried trauma.
Broken boundaries. Touching without consent.
So it turns out sexual abuse is something that a lot of us end up dealing with. It's a messed up topic that nobody wants to talk about. But while nobody's talking about it, we're living with it.
As we get older, independence and jobs and relationships, they're great. But there are a lot of things that we don't think about that can lead to sexual abuse. That's why we want to talk about it. When I started going out with friends more and doing stuff on my own, I was having fun. But I was new to a lot of things.
I knew it was possible for someone to try to take advantage of a person my age, but I never imagined it happening to me.
And I wasn't used to having to stand up for myself in an unsafe situation.
Sexual abuse can come from a relative, a boss, a teacher, a church pastor,
A scout leader. A close friend. Someone on the internet.
It can even happen when you're on a date or just hanging out. Look, it happens to both girls and boys, and we want to show you how to stop sexual abuse before it causes more pain for you or your friends.
When you really think about it, you don't have to look far to find someone that's dealt with abuse.
Or someone that's got something on their mind that hurts to talk about.
Or someone that's been taken advantage of because they're growing up and want to fit in or have a relationship.
Or someone that feels guilty or responsible for someone else's abusive behavior.
Or someone that feels isolated and trapped by a situation. Everyone's got their own story. Even though sexual abuse is hard to talk about, sharing experiences helps us recognize sexual abuse in dangerous situations in our own lives.
Bottom line, if someone's behavior makes you uncomfortable, you can tell them to stop. And if they don't stop, they're in the wrong and you should get away.
We want to talk about sexual abuse.
We want to talk about preventing it from happening.
We want to talk about listening to ourselves and not giving in to social pressure or lies.
And watching out for our friends when they're in unsafe situations.
That means recognizing how abusive people can take advantage of you.
Abuse can feel very lonely and personal, but I think that by talking about it, we can get rid of the stigma.
Sexual abuse can catch you totally off guard, but experiences like ours can show you the red flags that can help keep you safe.
Thank you, Chris. So now that you've seen these three, by the way, if you have any questions or you thoughts you want to toss into the question and answers, please feel free to do so. If you're watching from Facebook, just go ahead and put a comment in there. We'll get to them here in a minute. When we get through these tools, by the way, each one of these, there's what we saw as part of a several video segment. I think they're about 15 minutes long if you were to watch them all back to back. But and then there's extra ones that you can add on after the fact that are on other topics other than sexual abuse or the like bullying or cyber safety or the like. So these videos are fantastic. I've watched them all. I think that they would be very appropriate to share with your unit, with your kids. and should we're hoping as we launch Youth Protection Month that each and every one of you will help us get this information and this training all the way down to the families and the scouts. In addition to that, as we talk about resources, is that we have Cyber Chip as an online safety for computer time. With the much FaceTime that we've had and all that, you know, our kids are spending a lot of time online, and there's a lot of predatory things that can happen to them there. There's a recognition program and a training program called Cyber Chip, and those trainings are available at scouting.org/cyberchip. And next slide, please. Also, we're going to be talking about cyber chip and bully prevention at our next webinar later this month, April 21st. But there's information for you at stopbullying.gov and also at scouting.org, bullying awareness. And our own council has a Choose Kindness campaign that we use, that we believe that Scouts care about the feelings of others, that Scouts respect others and appreciate differences. And Scouts, again, protect others from being mistreated. And I think that the biggest key today in bullying prevention is that those people who see it happening to somebody else stand up. And that is something that we, in addition to being recognizing and reporting and being careful not to bully yourself, but to be there for those people who are being bullied, is the most profound act of kindness and service that a Scout can do. Next slide. Also, we're going to have a conversation next week about mental health and Scouting. We learned in summer camp and other things that we need to help prepare people for stress in their lives. And Dolly is a trainer in a special program called Mental Health First Aid. And she's going to talk a little bit next week about some of the key pieces to mental health first aid that you as a leader can do, and promote upcoming trainings that we are scheduling for mental health first aid. Dolly, do you want to talk anything about that? I don't know if your computer is working at this stage. Anything you want to share on that or anything else up to now?
No, I don't have anything specific. I don't want to give away too much, but I hope that you'll tune in. It's something that I've come to be very passionate about. The mental health of our youth is at a critical point these days, and we certainly have a lot to learn and ways that we can reach out and be proactive in making a difference for those kids.
And then also we want to be able to share with you information about how we were able to go from about 18 different mental health crises at our summer camps about 4 years ago to only a couple a year later. And do you remember the conversation I shared with you about preparing for driving in the rain and hydroplaning? It's the same thing for kids with regard to mental health challenges, because they need to know that that is going to happen to them, that they're going to have these feelings. They need to be able to identify these feelings, and that they need to be able to know what they're going to do when it happens, how to take their foot off the brake and maintain control. And that's what this training is all about. And we highly recommend that you come. Next slide. All right, now we're kicking off a new recognition program. Again, sticker for our Scout BSA and older, for any that's watching the videos, or adults taking the online training, we'll have stickers available. For Cub Scouts who watch the Cub Scout youth protection video with their parent or guardian, will be able to get a youth protection segment. And again, anybody who completes Cyber Chip for their age group will get a Cyber Chip sticker sent to them. Let's go to the next slide. And so we'll more on this, but and then we have, if all of your Den or patrol participates in a safety meeting where a video is watched and discussion has happened, then you can get a Den Safety Award. And if all of your Den or patrols in your unit or your ship or crew participates in this, you can get a Unit Safety Award. And you'll be able to record the progress and do that on the next slide here. which is on our cpcbsa.org/youth protection, which is going to be the landing place as we continue to develop it. And Chris and Dolly and I will be continuing to develop this website throughout the month as we make sure that all the tools is fully updated and that we launch off our youth protection efforts. I know that I understand that recording CyberChip is a challenge in Scoutbook, which I think is a glitch. I see that on here. And I also noticed a question here about the links in chat, which I do believe that Chris has done for you here. And again, this whole video will be available shortly to you as well. However, the online training still exists. People are still doing it. And you know what? I've probably heard more positive things from parents, literally parents emailing or chatting with me about CyberChip in the last year because of the amount of screen time and the efforts to communicate to them. Anyway, there's all these resources that are available to you and more as we go, and you'll have access to those. And let's see, I think we're down to the last video here. Or last video, last slide or so.
Yeah, the last slide, and it'll just play a sounder to end everything. But
okay.
Yeah, so and we'll have a blog post of all this. So this recording and all this will be on the youth protection page, as well as a blog post with all the buttons and links to all of the things we've talked about here. And so this will really grow and blossom. This is so fantastic because we're doing multiple webinars here. So this is going to be really, really meaty. Lots of great information. So thanks so much, Todd, Holly, for putting this together for us. It's going to be really, really great, and just sort of give people the overview of all the resources that are out there. And especially these Sinatra videos, they're fantastic. They're really, really well done. I remember going through this as a younger parent of younger kids, and they were kind of cheesy, and it was just kind of boring for the kids, but they're really so well done at all ages.
The last thing I would say to kind of end this up, and again, I want to make sure Dolly can share anything that she wants to say, but is that we have some of the best, maybe the best, arguably the best youth protection program policies and procedures in the country and the world to help protect youth in scouting, but there's still more that we can do. And I think especially getting this training all the way down to the family level. And because we can protect people in the scout bubble, but making sure the entire families, that scouting youth protection bubble extends over the top of families, will also protect kids more than just scouting kids, but kids in communities and kids out in the country. So we want to make sure that especially these wonderful videos for children get out and get seen, and your help to do that, it would be greatly appreciated. Dolly, anything, last comments from you?
I do, as a matter of fact. I think that this is a really important time for our kids to be receiving lots of really good information. They're about to go back into the non-COVID world with any luck at all. And after all this information, just in this one webinar, it goes without saying that safety is the #1 priority of Boy Scouts of America and the Cascade Pacific Council. Our youth protection and abuse are sensitive topics, making it all the more essential to prepare leaders, parents, and youth to provide the safest possible environment for everyone in the program. And like Chris said, it would be exciting to learn that the Sinatra Center materials are being widely used to bring awareness and to protect our youth. And I'd encourage our audience to put the Scouts First helpline right into your phone today without any hesitation, so that when that situation comes up, you're ready. You don't have to scramble. You don't have to think. It's there for you. And also important to note that you don't have to be a registered member of Boy Scouts of America to take advantage of that youth protection training, nor these Sinatra videos. That's all I've got. Thanks for being here.
Thank you all very much. I know that Chris has a closing thought here, but thank you all for participating. This is very important stuff. Oh, Chris, we didn't have anything on Facebook that you wanted to share, questions that we didn't cover?
Nope, no comments on Facebook that I'm seeing, but thank you all for joining us, gang. And please don't forget to join us for next week's webinar. We have webinars every Wednesday, of course, at noon. So feel free to join us for those. You can see those at cpcbsa.org/events, or check out our calendar page. You can see all the signups there, as well as on our Facebook page at facebook.com/cpcbsa/events. And so you'll see those there too. Thanks again so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.